Hello again, and welcome back to Bloodbourne Reborn, where this will be the second post-commentary video, and then we'll be back to normal live commentary after this. Probably a good 2 episodes for me to have the microphone blunder, because no, I'll be honest, not a great deal is going to happen apart from just progress in the game, essentially. And by progress, I don't mean like milestone progress, mostly just progress in the sense of picking up all the items, getting some upgrade materials, generally getting access to all the boss rooms, and then nothing. Nothing much else. I can't stress how important the upgrade materials in this part of the game are, though, because running around with +3 weapons is not fun. So if you can get to Yargul, like I'm just cleaning up Yargul now. I think I will go back to the Hunter's Dream. I'll upgrade my weapons slightly, and then we'll come back and we'll pick up all the twin blood shards that I didn't get the first time because I spooked too many of the wandering nightmares. And also we can kill some kidnappers to get some twin blood shards as well, and then once you get up to +6, you're good to go for a while. You won't be able to upgrade anything until... well, there's 2 things you could do. You can either go very deep into the Chalice dungeons. I think there's a limit, but it's not until you get pretty far. I think you would get stuck at the Cursed Defiled Chalice step, because you wouldn't be able to get the Bastards of Lauren that you would need to open that without fighting Amygdala. And to fight Amygdala, you'll have to get past Amelia, so yeah. Until you advance the night, +6 is as far as you're going to get. Still, it's good to get to +6, particularly when you're already level 4 is hard enough. Want to upgrade your weapon the whole way. Upgrading the weapon was very important for the whole playthrough, really, because even when I got to +9 and +10, I still had to upgrade my weapon sometimes. I had to go do a bunch of blood gem research, almost, is how I would put it, because I've never had to farm blood gems that aggressively for any sort of PvE before. I suppose it's not technically necessary, but it does help if you can find the right ones. Blood gem farming has always been more of a PvP concern. Like, you want good blood gems, but you don't need specifically super duper good blood gems for PvE most of the time. But it was different this time. I was like, oh, some of this is very hard, and some of the fights take a very long time. And it helps to have good blood gems in those cases. So I had to go on the internet and try and research it, and here we are back in Yargul, fighting kidnappers who will hopefully drop twin blood shards. Failing that, they'll drop regular blood shards, and I need them at this point too. Sometimes these enemies are extremely easy, but then every now and then they'll catch you off guard one way or another, or you'll misjudge them, and you'll just die because they hit hard enough to justify their moveset being kind of uncomplicated. They don't have any particular attack that's that great, except maybe I would say their very worst attack is probably their kick, because that can hit you before you realize it's coming at you. Whereas most of the other attacks are just like, oh, I see you. Using Molotovs to kill them, because I don't have any... I haven't got good enough weapon to put any elemental attack on it. Those weird magic attacks they do are pointless. I used to think they would be much more dangerous than they were, like I would be sucked into his hand or something. But as far as I could tell, it's never actually happened. Even though I've been hit by those kind of attacks before, plenty of times. Oh well, what's this one gonna drop? So easy to backstab. Twin Bloodshards. It's one of those weird cases where if you were fighting with your bare hands, the normal villagers in central Yharnam would actually be more trouble than kidnappers. Because kidnappers show their backs so often. It's so easy to backstab them. It can be surprisingly hard to get behind a regular enemy in this game. Of course, most people don't try it, so they don't realize it. But, yeah. I've had occasions where I started the game and I killed the werewolf at the start with my bare hands because he's reasonably easy to get behind, and then I die to the axe dude before the ladder because getting behind him can sometimes be a royal pain. So yeah, just using all. I'm guessing what I was talking about here was what kind of weapons I can use, and you can use all kinds of weapons. As long as they're the saw cleaver, the saw spear, the axe, the threaded cane, the flame sprayer, the hunter's torch, what's the other one? The Fist of Gradia from the DLC, surprisingly enough, is usable with a level 4 build. I don't know why you would, but then I don't know why anyone would use the Fist of Gradia for any reason. The Fist of Gradia is such a joke weapon that I don't think I could even incorporate it into a challenge run. Like, it's too, like, that's a bridge too far. Its one virtue is like the torch, that it doesn't take any actual bullets to use when you're attacking. But the torch has far more utility than it does. Anyway, after upgrading my weapons some, we can get more Twin Blood Shards by going to Hemwick Channel Lane. As well as opening up all the shortcuts so that we can get to the Witch of Hemwick when we're ready. That's a good thing. Get some eyeballs too, for when we inevitably open up the Hinder Tombs. I don't know if there's any strict reason to open up the Hinder Tombs anymore, but I always do for whatever reason. I mean, sure, I like the Madman set if I can get it, but if I didn't have the Madman set for this whole playthrough, I doubt anyone would ever notice, even if anyone was watching. Haha, meta joke. Anyway, it's all good. Where are we going now? Go up those stairs, would you? Wonderful. I have a feeling I either... No. Definitely fighting them. For whatever reason. I was gonna say, I thought I let them go and ran up the stairs, but maybe that was on a different run. Oh well. That's certainly one way to do it. I was about to be impressed by how I'd managed to dodge all the Molotovs up until now without really trying. Only to get hit by the one when I was dead set in front of her. There's no way I didn't realize that Molotov person was there. So I don't know why I allowed her to throw it at me. I think you just get patient around here. You've done it a couple of times before. The Witch of Hemwick probably has one of the more... sorry. I'll start again. The Witch of Hemwick probably has one of the more inhospitable boss runs. It's annoying to get to her boss room. Not just because of all the closed gates that you have to open, but when you have already opened all the gates, it's still really annoying to get there because there's no... None of the shortcuts really lead directly to her. You have to pick and choose which one is going to annoy you less. And you'll always end up fighting a couple of witches, couple of brick trolls, a couple of executioners, you know? There's no real way around it. I particularly hate the hill that leads directly in front of a boss room, because the enemies there have some weird AI quirks that are not present in just regular enemies of their type. The Executioner hiding by the treasure chest, for instance, always loves to aggro at the same time as the 3 witches that you fight on the hilltop. And that happens regardless of distance or method. Doesn't matter if you're completely silent or very far away from him. Attacking the 3 witches on the hilltop will just aggro him immediately, and he'll come running to you. You can actually you can demonstrate this yourself by teleporting to the witch's lantern after you've beaten her, and killing the witches inside the house. And after that's happening, you wait a few seconds, and you'll see an executioner just running up the hill at you. There's no way that guy would normally have aggroed, but he'll do it anyway. So yeah, this place is annoying. Sorry if I'm not actually commenting on what's happening, but this area went pretty standardly. There was 1 or 2 hiccups, if I remember correctly, but by and large, everything was done sort of correctly, and no major setbacks were to be had. Which is good, because I don't feel like being level 4 really makes this part of the game that much more difficult. I mean, your margin for error is a bit less, but not that much less. You're gonna be okay. Oh. I used the flame sprayer for some reason. I really had no idea I'd even equipped that and used it at any point in this game. I'd completely forgotten that I must have used it here. That's surprising. But I switched to the torch. I bet I never go back to it. Yeah, at this point in the game, most of your damage comes from your weapon upgrades and not your stats to begin with. So even if you were going for a more typical build, you wouldn't be doing that much more damage. And you may not even have that much more health, unless you specifically level up your vitality and not your other stats. And since I went to Yargul first, I'm already like ahead of the ball as far as my weapon upgrades go. And my armor for that matter. Because Yargul armor here is probably better than most other armor sets that you could get sans Chalice dungeons. So no, it's probably good to get this part of the game over with without any drawn out bullcrap. I don't think I remember what happens in the boss room, and I probably shouldn't spoil it anyway. Since the bosses are like most of the fun part in this kind of viewing. You want to see how you do against a boss under duress is usually the best way to enjoy a challenge in a Bloodbourne game or a Souls game. There are always a few interesting PvE situations though, where you wonder how a person might handle certain enemies. Depends on your challenge though. I'd say a level 4 challenger makes most things more difficult than it is, but some enemies are not very interesting even at level 4. These witch enemies, for instance, aren't going to... I'm not going to change my tactics in any way. I don't even have to like execute perfectly to kill them or anything like that. You just handle them the way you always would, and it works. It works fine. Some other enemies in the game, though, it becomes much more difficult than it normally would be. Things like winter lanterns can actually be a real pain at level 4. Even though on paper it doesn't look like they should be, they are